You can sit over here.
Alright, I think we are
Yeah, I like the
live.
notification.
Huh?
You portrait.
Yeah, just checking to make sure everything's good here. Okay.
Eat your waffle first, okay?
1, 2, 3, clap!
1, 2, 3, clap.
Good clapping.
Good clapping.
1, 2, 3, clap.
Okay.
1,
Tonight.
1, 2, 3,
Tonight.
baby, clap. Tonight. 1, 2,
Tonight.
1, 2.
We're going to be talking about the allegory of the olive tree.
The title of the lesson is The Lord Labors With Us.
Okay, no more music.
So who knows what an allegory is?
Without cheating and reading it.
Yep.
I cheated and read it. What is
No one knows what it is without reading it.
What is an endurance?
Allegory.
Yeah, what is it?
Allegories are stories that teach spiritual truths through symbols.
So,
We're
parable.
going to do this. Kind of like a parable. In the allegory of the olive trees, for example, a vineyard represents the world. A tame olive tree represents Israel, or those who have made covenants with God. And wild olive trees represent the Gentile nations, those who have not made covenants with God. As you study the allegory in Jacob 5, look for additional symbols and ponder what they might mean. For example, what do you think the good fruit represents? What could bad fruit symbolize?
I sort of know this story. I don't really know. I think the bad.
No, we're doing scriptures right
I
now,
think
not
the
7
bad-
Friday Night Be Giants.
I think
Do you want a snuggle?
the bad fruit represents. I
Yeah,
think
we gotta
Satan,
finish your pouchy and then we can do one more good
love
one,
and
okay?
Satan,
I need a
the
big
other
full
one
tub.
is love and
Finish
God.
Finish your pouch.
So,
Finish your pouchy so that we can
Here's
look
what let's first hear the story. We don't know.
Jacob 5 is like
Really long.
so super long.
So we're going to try and get the main.
Well,
It's the longest chapter in the Book of Mormon.
Yeah.
So
Is there like a video?
maybe. Yeah, it would be helpful, especially as we're thinking about.
A video!
I know. Hang on.
Dad's just seeing all the things.
Okay, that looks like the main video.
That's the main.
I don't get it. It just doesn't make sense.
What?
The reading assignment for seminary tomorrow just doesn't make sense.
It's just about olive trees. It can't be that bad.
I always skip over chapter 5 when I read the book of Jacob.
You'd skip the whole Book of Mormon.
I don't get it either. I wish there was an easy way of figuring this stuff out.
I've never even seen an olive tree. Sure you have. They're the ones with the cans hanging off of them. I just hope someone understands it because I'm lost.
There you are. Up. You can't sit. It's time to work.
Hey, what's going on here?
Where are we?
I have dance club tonight. I can't miss that.
Enough jabbering. It's time to work. Now, you two take these pruning hooks and start on those trees right there. You two can start digging around these trees, and you can start dunging. Work!
How? We don't know how to prune.
You don't know how. You don't know how to prune? Who would have sent me laborers who don't know how to prune?
Excuse me. We're students.
You're the students. Not the laborers. You're the students. I knew that. You're here to learn how to take care of olive trees. You know, they take a lot of work and caring and attention. They're worth it. Every bit of it.
Kind of sounds like a lot just to have olives in your pizza.
Derek.
We've used them for a lot more than that. We use the oil for medicine. We burn the oil in our lamps for light. And we also eat the fruit for food. But enough jabbing. It's time to work.
We're students, remember, not laborers.
Don't we need to talk about the allegory?
We learn by doing first, then by talking. Come on with me over here, and I'll teach you how to care for a vineyard. Come on over here. Dig around the roots, like this. You got it?
Yeah, I can handle it.
We dig around the roots because the air unlocks the minerals in the soil, allowing them to nourish the tree. Go over there and get some dung, please.
Dung? What's dung?
It's grass that's been recycled through an animal.
Good. Now, why don't you go get some? Who knows why we use dung?
It's used to nourish the tree.
That's very good. Have you dunged much before?
No, I've just read about it.
Oh. All right. You just take some of this and work it into the soil. Like that. Now, where's those pruning hooks? Well, dung. Careful with those, they're sharp. You prune by cutting off some of the branches. Like this.
Won't that hurt the tree?
Well, that's what the tree thinks. So, in order to survive, it puts all its strength into the remaining branches, and the tree produces more fruit.
So pruning helps her produce more.
Exactly. But sometimes pruning isn't enough. We also have to graft. Grafting helps the tree in a different way. Jill, bring this basket, will you, please? When you graft, take a strong, tame branch, just good fruit, and you cut it like this. And then you put it on a wild branch that ordinarily produces bad fruit. And then you cover the graft with mud and dung. And then you bind the two together on the graft. Finger. And the new branch brings forth good fruit.
That's pretty neat.
Can I try?
Does this mean I have to get more dung?
Not just yet. Now we need to talk. Remember the tame olive tree that you talked about in your class?
Yeah.
We're going to walk through the vineyard now and find a tree that looks just like that. Let's see how well you've learned. How are you going to try to save this tree?
Dig it. Dung it.
Prune it.
Graft it.
All right, that's pretty good. Now I'm going to take these new shoots and graft them farther out in the vineyard. And while I'm gone, I want you to take care of this tree. Cut out the dead branches and graft in some wild branches. And while you're doing that, think about this. If this tree represents the house of Israel, what condition are the children of Israel in? And what is the Lord trying to do with them?
you not paying attention in the video?
I think it means, well, what are you? Yeah, but it didn't tell us the allegory even was.
So it kind of did, because there was actually what happened. There's different periods of history, but essentially the allegory is called the allegory of the olive trees, where it talks about the Lord of the vineyard and the servants that he hires to bring into the vineyard to take care of the olive trees. And then he talks, this chapter goes into various different parts, talking about things of like the scattering of Israel before Christ comes to earth, and the ministry of Christ and the apostles, the great apostasy, please sit on the couch, the gathering of Israel in the latter days, and the millennium and the end of the world. So, let's see if there is a diagram here. I thought there was. Ah, here it is. Let's see if I can make this bigger.
Make it giant.
Yeah, we gotta zoom in on this. That's a little too small for us. Okay. So let's start at the beginning.
First.
The first visit to the olive branches there. Maybe we can read a little bit about it so you get a sense for it.
Yeah.
We'll read different parts of chapter 5. Okay, so so Jacob is talking about the prophet Zenos, and said, I will liken thee, O house of Israel, like unto a tame olive tree. Do you know what a tame olive tree is?
It's an olive tree
That produces good fruit.
yeah, produces lots of olives, and
Yeah.
people have tried to make it produce the best possible fruit
Okay.
and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, the house of Israel, what does you think house of Israel means?
It means everybody.
Let's have Danny have a turn.
I think it means everybody in Israel, because how's Israel? It's
Yeah.
Israel.
And do you know what's another name for the house of Israel? What's another name for Israelites? Do you know? Anyone know?
Nope.
Jews.
Mhm.
Yeah. So this is going to be an allegory. So it's like a story or something. It's a symbol, right? So tame olive tree. So Israel is like a tame olive tree that's producing good fruit, but it grew and waxed old and began to decay. And the master of the vineyard, who do you think the master of the vineyard would be? Who's the master? Yeah. Potentially Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things, yeah.
Yeah.
So, let's look at this here. So, in this first section, God sees the apostasy of ancient Israel because it's starting to grow old and die. So he sends prophets to cry repentance. What do you think crying repentance might mean?
It means
What would be?
pleading with them to repent.
Yeah, but you remember from that video, they were talking about all the kinds of things they're doing to take care of the olive trees.
Yeah.
What would be one thing that they're doing to take care of olive trees?
I think one was pruning.
Yeah, that's right. You get rid of the dead branches, right? And so you can see what he does. So the tame olive tree is starting to die, so some of the branches aren't producing fruit anymore. So the master prunes and fertilizes, and a few new branches grow, but the top is still dying. And so the main branches are removed, and wild branches are grafted in. so that way they might have more. They might have a chance of producing good fruit again. And the withered branches are burned. So we get rid of them. The wild olive tree. What do you think would represent the wild olive tree?
Everyone who is not part of the house of Israel or not making good choices.
Right.
And,
People, the Gentiles, or those who are not aware of Christ and have an opportunity to learn.
and
So then,
see an arrow pointing towards from the wild olive tree to the other olive tree.
yeah, and so then the second time the Lord visits the vineyard, it equates the time that Jesus Christ came to earth, and we had a lot of good fruit being produced, even though there was some poor ground.
Poor
Yeah, good.
ground.
And then,
There's also
but
some,
then there was a time.
wait, let's scroll all the way to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Good ground, good and bad fruit.
Yeah, there was parts of the world that had good ground, and it produced some good fruit and bad fruit, right?
What is bad fruit like?
Fruit that's not really edible or doesn't taste good, right? Or is too small. So usually, if you had a wild olive tree, that's a wild tree that was not being taken care of, because an olive tree would have so many branches. The olives would be so tiny that they wouldn't taste very good, and they wouldn't have a lot of good fruit. They wouldn't be very good for people.
Oh.
Now, during the third visit to the vineyard in this chapter, that is symbolizing the great apostasy, where the fruit starts to become corrupt across all of these trees, including the natural branches that were scattered.
Evil fruit, but the
Mm-hmm.
roots are still good at, let's see.
Yep,
Evil
evil fruit, but the roots are still good. That means the tree is still alive, but the branches were starting to produce bad fruit.
Really bad fruit
Yeah.
because now it's evil fruit.
Yeah.
Well,
And so, during the fourth visit, which is the restoration of the gospel, that was the time of Joseph Smith, and where Israel had been scattered throughout the world. And so the wild branches,
get burned.
right, and branches of the original tree are grafted in to the scattered trees, hoping that they might start to bring good fruit again, because the original tree had good roots still. And then, what is supposed to happen at the end of the chapter there, eventually, branches of the scattered trees are then grafted back into the original tree that was starting to die, and then all the trees start to bear good fruit again. And then at the very end, the good fruit will be gathered, and the vineyard will be burned. That's what's called the millennium. So the allegory is kind of just like an example of how the church will change and how the people will change in their beliefs over time.
Yeah, it's the history of the world told from history of the church told from past the end of the world.
Yeah. Okay. So let it be written.
So let it be done.
Boom. Okay. All right. Let's go to bed. Brush our teeth. Put on our pajamas. Do all.